Welcome to Foul Play YouTube channel.
Welcome to the Powder Puff edition of Foul Play YouTube channel. We are going to talk today about what is clemency. And I looked it up, and it says, basically, to put it in short, mercy or lenience. And I got that off of clemency.com. But today, I basically wanted to go through general meanings of clemency, clemency definition in legal terms. Across the globe, the clemency legal definition may vary. However, the basis and intention remains the same. Clemency is not a right, it's a privilege. It comes typically as a result of rigorous vetting of a petition. Also, giving someone clemency does not mean that the crime is forgotten or that the perpetrator is innocent of the crime. Rather, it is an act to typically acknowledge that the perpetrator has taken responsibility for the offense in some way. It also signifies that some type of relief is merited for a punishment that he or she has faced or is about to face. Types of executive clemency. In order to understand the clemency meaning completely, we must begin with the 5 essential types of executive clemency to understand the basis. Pardon. This forgives someone for a crime he or she committed. Pardons typically are granted after the recipient has completed his or her sentence. However, pardons have been granted during or before punishment is imposed in certain extraordinary cases. One recent example is President Trump's decision to pardon Joe Arpaio, I can't say that, in 2017. Commutation. This replaces a less severe punishment for the original sentence imposed on someone. An example of a recent high-profile presidential pardon is President George W. Bush's commutation of Louis Scooter Libby in 2007. A reprieve. This gives temporary relief from punishment. Typically, this is authorized to give a person an opportunity to find a means or a reason for reducing a sentence imposed. Remission is a reduction or cancellation of court-ordered fines imposed against a person. Amnesty, this typically a pardon extended to a group or class of people, usually for a political offense. Unlike a pardon, amnesty removes all legal memory of the offense. Executive clemency. Presidents of the United States can only exercise executive clemency for federal crimes, while governors are granted the executive clemency power for their state constitution and can only grant clemency for state crimes for individuals who are incarcerated in that governor's state. It is usually used synonymously with the phrase pardon power. However, a pardon is just one aspect of executive clemency. A pardon forgives the crime in its entirety and is essentially a form of forgiveness. Executive clemency also covers a commutation of a sentence, remission of fines or restitution, and reprieve. A reprieve is when a president or governor pauses the sentence for a variety of reasons, many times for appeals, for death penalty cases, or for merciful reasons, like for an inmate to visit a hospital to see a dying relative. So, can we take a look at Brendan Dassey? We can talk about clemency. I want to hear from all of you. I want to thank you for joining us today. I brought this up and wanted to discuss it because there's a whole lot of variables here and questions.
Well, I can chime in if you can all hear me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you can? Okay. So in Wisconsin, the governor can pardon. He has that official act of forgiveness or of the criminal offense, and so he has the authority to do so. And in Wisconsin history, there's this Governor Jim Doyle, who in 2010 pardoned more than 100 people in 3 months. Yeah,
Whoa. Whoa.
yeah,
Whoa.
yes. So that's pretty generous and pretty humane.
Where
But then,
Walker in three elections didn't pardon a single person.
not a single person. I was going to say just that. Not a single person. And then Tony Evers in 2019 pardoned 4 people. And what I found interesting and why I got intrigued by this is that they were all really young when they committed their crimes. There was 17, 19, 21, and 22. And one was for a burglary, one for cocaine sale, one for ecstasy distribution, and one for battery. So these, although crimes, they were not as severe as what poor Brandon was charged with.
A lot of what I read on when I
So
was
I don't know if
looking up
that's like any.
clemencies, a lot of what I read was basically for nonviolent crimes, things like that, had a tendency to receive some kind of consideration when they put in an application for clemency or pardon or whatever it might be. But I kind of wanted to look at, everybody has a general understanding of what clemency is, but I kind of wanted to go into some detail back there with, what the clemency is, because some people didn't really realize and maybe don't realize that it can cover so many different aspects of, like, the result can be different for each individual based on what kind of crime, of course, But in this, Mose and I had a conversation the other day about what kind of sentence Brendan was looking at. April 25th, 2007, after 4.5 hours of deliberation, the jury convicts Dassey of being party to a first-degree intentional homicide, mutilation of a corpse, and second-degree sexual assault. And then the sentencing is scheduled for August 2nd. Dassey is sentenced to mandatory life in prison with a possibility of parole, set for November 1, 2048. Now, I was curious, what type of sentence is Dassey serving, state or federal? Well, we know he's in state prison for his conviction. So it's not on a federal level, so there was no chance of the president giving an executive clemency.
Correct. So this is on the state level.
Yep. And it has to go to the governor.
Yeah, and when I see a young boy being convicted with less to no evidence at such a young age, I would have thought that clemency would be something that would apply when he has been a model prisoner for so long, that they would take a look at it, at least.
Do you know on his paper for judgment of conviction, and it says that it is judged that the defendant is guilty of convicted and sentenced as follows: concurrent with consecutive to, and it says comments to the court orders of the defendant is eligible for extended supervision on 11/1/2048.
What's that?
That means that he's in there till then. But it says,
Minimum.
yeah, but it says mutilating a corpse and second-degree sexual assault. And Mose and I were discussing the charges, and these were the charges he was convicted on. It doesn't say kidnapping And that was in question. We were curious about what the charges were that he was actually convicted of. Would they have qualified on federal level?
Yeah, as such as kidnapping, because that's a federal offense, isn't it?
Well, what if it was
Right,
kidnapping?
that was
Yeah.
Moses' take on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were looking into that. But it's something that they've made, I believe, tailored. If you look into many other cases that they have in that state, how many of them do they avoid and ending up in the hands of the feds? I'm just curious.
When you take someone against their will, but when you take someone against their will, wouldn't that automatically carry a kidnapping offense or something?
That's what Mose thought. That's kind of what I thought.
Yeah.
Can we look and see how what they say he did, what the picture was, that it might have qualified on a federal level, but they left that out. The one thing out that would have possibly taken this out of their control.
Don't you think that's deliberate, though?
I do.
Yes, absolutely.
I do.
So he has to stay in prison at least to 2048.
Well, and then to get released, he'd have to go before a board,
Yeah.
kind of show remorse, which is kind of admitting guilt, to show remorse before you're even eligible.
Yeah. And if you don't do that, you will be there for life.
Yes.
Yeah, so
And
this is not a guarantee that he's going to get out when he's 59.
On his paper of when they convicted him, it says the court finds that the defendant is not eligible for a challenge incarceration program or the earned release program.
What does that mean?
So it doesn't matter how good he is. He ain't getting out.
He will not get any, he will, well, or more to the point, he will never be considered for good behaviour.
Yeah.
He will never be seen as a model prisoner. He will only ever be viewed by the system as a convicted murderer and rapist. And as such, when Tony Evers brought in the new rules last year with regards to pardons and clemency, they actually changed the rules around the same, and they insisted that there would be no consideration of any mercy unless the convicted party admits their crime. Secondly, there is no eligibility for any sex offenders on the clemency or pardon program. None.
Just like the occasion,
Oh, sorry.
If I heard on the documentary, if someone admitted guilt, even if they didn't do it, they will get released.
Well, that's it sounds easy, but I think what's happened now is the options that might have been open to Brendan have kind of disappeared with regards to the appeals process, and it's unfortunate, but I think Brendan's there for the time being.
He could opt for the Alfred plea if it's offered.
Yeah, I was thinking that, and not only that, but he could go through the appellate court, couldn't he? On a post-conviction motion regarding the evidence that the Dassey fine for Stephen?
Well, that does play into any future. If Stephen's conviction is overturned, then it will give Brendan a stronger position. But it does
just
not
a stronger
mean
position.
it is just a stronger position. It does not mean that it is guaranteed his release. No, it's a long way
because
from
he
it.
was
A long way
convicted
from it.
on the confession, not on forensics.
But that's absurd. In the case law, it stands. If you cannot corroborate a confession, it doesn't mean anything.
Well,
so how can he be?
Well, that's the whole problem.
On that only, I don't get it. It says in the law that you have to corroborate, and if you cannot do that, then you don't have a case. He should
the
never
one
have.
judge, the one judge on the en banc asked, the one that was so harsh
Hamilton.
on him, asked,
Hamilton.
Hamilton, ask, did you gain anything from his confession? Did you gain any evidence? And the cop answered, yeah, we did, because we found the bullet.
Really?
Yep.
Really?
Yep. So that corroborates the confession.
And when you have been on a en banc, you will never get that opportunity once again. You cannot go the federal route one more time. Is that it?
I don't believe so. And
they should have waited.
It was already his last ditch effort.
Yes, it was.
But they should have waited. They should have waited before the other thing come out, because you have to remember, in those cases now, it's gone prestige. In those cases, the state are going to stand their ground only because the people are watching. Only because of that. They're never going to admit that they're doing something
absolutely
wrong,
not.
ever.
Never.
I agree.
Not now. Not now.
Not ever.
When everyone's watching. So.
Yeah.
So this is like you know, we look at this whole big thing and we know he was coerced. What we don't know was why they. All right, BB, can you explain to me? I keep being told that Wisconsin doesn't have clemency, so I'm not really understanding all of that fully.
Exactly. So here's the one that gets me is, you know, Nora and Knight Rider and Steve Dresden and stuff, they start this whole thing and stir up everybody, and everybody thinks, oh my God, yes, he's got a shot for this clemency. And Wisconsin doesn't even have clemency right now of any kind. I don't know if that's Ever's choice or not. I'm not sure how exactly that works. But all Evers has is the pardon system, and he's ineligible. So I kind of feel like they were kind of blowing smoke up my rear,
yes,
and everybody else's.
Yeah.
By starting this whole thing, when they had to have known that Wisconsin didn't even have clemency, and that he positively was not eligible for a pardon. So I you know, they had the 150 people speak on his behalf and all night.
We all signed petitions.
And what was the best that we
because
what was the best we could have hoped for him at all?
Absolutely nothing, because it's like I said, I feel like they're blowing smoke up my rear. And I'm being nice and I'm saying it proper there.
No, well, you're speaking as you find, and I myself also believe that Steve Nyrider and Drizzen and Laura Nyrider, I'm not saying they squandered his last chance. What I am saying is that perhaps they chose a bad time to present it. You know, I think if they'd have waited a little while, other stuff might have come into the public light, which might have given a stronger supporting basis for any argument for Brendan's release. I think that they've gone and blown that chance now. It's all gone, and Brendan's been left up the creek without a paddle.
Well,
Yeah,
as
and
far as
maybe
the
and maybe
unbarked thing, as far as
yeah,
the unbarked thing goes, I think they kind of wasted their shot there because they had Laura Nightrider do it, and she had to practice and stuff. Where Drizzen
Yeah,
is a much more
yeah,
seasoned lawyer, and this
yeah.
yeah,
was
Why
his
didn't he do
last
it? Yeah,
shot.
why didn't he
Yeah,
yeah,
do it?
why wouldn't
Yeah,
he do it? Yeah,
because
where he
he's
could have
only
maybe been more
counsel.
sophisticated to counter these things that the judges threw at him over
Yeah,
where Laura Nightrider kind of was like swimming in too deep of water and
yeah,
maybe couldn't volley back the ball when they hit it to her on these things like, are you trying to make a new law? And
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
Yeah,
I
and we were like one judge down.
yeah,
yeah.
They were
I
supposed to
wanted
have
I wanted
8,
to bring up a
and I don't know,
little.
one went on vacation or whatnot because
I want to bring up a little bit of something
Jump in
on
here
this.
on this topic with Laura Nightrider. I think that she got her education continued at the expense of Brendan.
yes,
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, to
And
put it blunt.
yeah.
yeah, and something else I'm thinking about is it was it only to blow life in the case again? Or was it only to get people excited
Oh yes, this was
again?
They
Was it
had
only
to
absolutely
that?
be
helping.
Because it
they, they
This was
had to be
absolutely
really
helping
cruel.
complete that picture. Yes.
well, it's
And they
got on
had to be
us talking.
really cruel to Brendan.
yeah,
I
Is
think so
unless
too.
they told him, "Oh,
Pretty
we're just going to do it, and
irresponsible.
it's not going to have any outcome, so don't get your hopes up," unless they pre-warned him. And then still, I would have to think that even still, if they said that to him, that still it would have gotten his hopes up that maybe there is this small miracle and that the governor will,
Unless
you
this is
know,
like a step 1 in a plan of
Yeah,
many
yeah,
steps, you know what I mean? Because
Hmm.
it's pretty irresponsible from 2 professionals, high power lawyers, to say something like that and to
yeah,
ask for a petition for people signed, and we were all like talking and like
yeah.
really getting all upset over something that he's not even eligible for. It's like, what's the
yeah,
point?
Yeah,
Yeah, but
everybody
how
got
can
all
you
Are
worked
we
search
up.
for
what are we
clemency?
missing?
Yeah, but how can you search for clemency in a state that don't have clemency?
But even the
How can
pardon,
you
he's
do
not
that?
eligible for the pardon.
he's
Yeah,
not
but
but
that's
eligible for the
they
pardon
private
they
stuff.
when
she
Yeah.
used she used the word clemency in so many interviews.
Yep.
I've listened to many podcasts she has been on, and she did never use the word pardon. She used clemency.
yeah,
Why? When
she's
there is
used the
Yeah.
no
word
clemency.
clemency, and I believe the reason she's used the word inclemency is because when Mr. Evers reintroduced the Pardon Act to Wisconsin last year, they made a specific. I believe, they deliberately changed the rules with regards to pardons so that nobody convicted of a sexual offence could be considered. Now, that was not the case before last year. Before
Yeah.
last year, anybody in Wisconsin could be considered for a
No,
pardon.
no,
But the rules,
absolutely nobody could before
really,
No.
Evers for
no, that's
3.
right. For Evers, that's correct because that Evers introduced that change of rule. And
I
I've
have a
got to ask
question.
myself,
But the
why
guy
is it?
before him wouldn't do any pardons.
Yes, I
Anything.
agree. Yeah,
But
Walker
I
yeah,
have
would do anything. There was no pardons existed, and he wasn't given none to nobody. Ever did. Period. The whole time.
Yeah.
I
But
have a
there,
question.
Go ahead.
Wasn't this new governor some kind of political spiel of he wanted to reform
the
the
justice system.
justice system for the youth in Wisconsin?
Mm. Well, to some
So why
extent,
is he blowing smoke?
he has been successful in a couple of respects, in as much as the number of young people being incarcerated in Wisconsin has skyrocketed over the last 3 years.
Nothing wrong
There are
then.
one or two institutions in Wisconsin concerned with the detention of young people, there have been many allegations of misconduct from staff in relation to these institutions. Governor Evers has done a lot to correct that. That's fine. But if that's the only reform that he wished to bring into the youth justice system, I'm afraid it's a little bit on the light side. It needs to be a lot stronger than just paying lip service to a problem that you don't really want to tackle because it's a bit controversial.
And he also said he wanted to use his time in office to make sure that the youth in the society was taken better care of. But I mean, look at the numbers. People are getting incarcerated in a insane rate. Youth people. Oh, I don't know.
There's a couple of lines I want to read from the documents from his conviction. It's adjudged that 534-day sentence credit are due pursuant to 973.155 Wisconsin statute. It is ordered that the sheriff execute this sentence. The next page, at the end, it is judged that 0 days sentence credit are due pursuant 10-973.155 Wisconsin statute. And it is ordered the sheriff execute this sentence. So that is confusing to me.
Maybe it's because of the different
this might have something to do with the length of time he sat awaiting trial.
Well, that was
UK,
what I'm looking at.
We have a remand system, whereas if you are considered to be a bail risk, either through flight or the committal of further offences, they will hold you in custody. They will remand you to custody while you await trial. The system here works in such a way that the time that you spend awaiting trial is deducted from any sentence that is passed down following a guilty verdict. So if you do 600 days on remand, following your sentencing, you will be given a 600-day credit towards your sentence. So
isn't that the same in the US though?
It should be, but it sounds to me. It sounds to me by that judgment as though it sounds as though. Sorry,
Sammy, is okay for his different charges. For example, let's say that he got caught stealing a candy bar. Okay, he's sentenced to 30 days in a county jail for stealing the candy bar. They let him out on his own recognizance for that, awaiting trial. Okay. Now, 20 minutes after they release him, he goes and steals a car, which is classified as grand theft auto.
Right.
They hold him on that because he broke the OR bond from getting out on the theft of the candy bar.
Yep.
So when he goes to trial, instead of being given credit for the 30 days for stealing the candy bar, let's say that he spends 120 days in jail waiting trial for the grand theft auto charge, he's given the credit for the 120 days on the grand theft auto charge.
Yes.
But not given any credit at all for the 30-day for stealing the candy bar.
Right.
Okay, so the first count is first-degree intentional homicide, and at the bottom of the page is where it says that 534 days sentence credit are due. But the next page...
Right, he was given that 531.
Okay.
He was given credit for that first charge, and then the next statute...
There's no credit.
He wasn't given any credit.
Right.
Because it was two different charges.
Right, well, so you can only be given the credit on one charge.
Yeah.
Thank you.
When you are talking, we are getting some feedback.
That helped
Yeah,
clear that up
together.
for me because I was extremely confused. I do know what I'm reading when I'm reading it, but it didn't register. These are different charges on the next page.
Sure.
Got it.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I thought it was worth discussion because, we all got worked up over the clemency thing, waiting and waiting and waiting, and then having, basically
You
getting
don't. You
crushed.
had your hopes dashed again.
Yeah. But it was worth
Yeah,
a
when
discussion.
I found out there was no clemency here, I was just like, I was really mad.
Well, of course, because that was
I
something
was
that
blow my
got
top kind of mad.
everybody's hopes up.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
What
and
they should
I
have, what they didn't warn us at the beginning of it all was that it might come to nothing, but we're hoping for clemency. Then people might have had a more realistic expectation as to the outcome of the issue. But, this is Wisconsin. So, how much hope can you have in any positive outcome, really?
They should have used the word pardon, not clemency, because
Yes.
there is no clemency. No.
Yep. Yeah. I
well,
think
and with
I
these
Tola,
think
charges,
that
he's
was
not
Tola.
eligible for the pardon either.
No, that's
So
right. That's exactly
yeah.
right.
Yeah. But in any case, I mean, when they are asking for all of this, I mean, wouldn't you think it would kind of have been I really fail to see the efforts that they put out and all of the people they had to come to speak who were professionals in their field with
Yep.
very valid credentials and waste everyone's time for what they knew was not even a possibility. I can't understand it. It was really lost on me.
I have to wonder how many of those professionals kind of got to a point where they believed that all hope was lost and that it would not be any loss to attempt to appeal to the better nature of the people in power. I think that all of these professionals kind of saw the light dying and felt that they needed to do something whilst they still
Yes, he was
could.
talking about it.
Yeah, I mean it's not every day you get Seth Waxman, who's performed before the Supreme Court on 7 different occasions, stands up and kind of raises his voice for an intellectually challenged 16-year-old kid. But he did, and the most respected lawman in America is ignored.
Yeah.
well,
What
it's
surprised
like
me the
shouting
Yeah,
into the
it's,
wind.
yeah,
it's
but
ex-
what surprised me the most was when they had the en banc and it was so close to winning it by one descendant, right? And then the what's it called? Oh my God, Supreme Court didn't take the case. That surprised me.
Well, and they were one judge short, on, like Sammy pointed out, on the en banc
Yeah,
because one had retired right before or something, right?
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So why
So
didn't the Supreme
if they
Court
would
take
have
this?
made them replace that judge with somebody, they might have possibly have been able to win that.
Yeah,
I don't understand why lawyers agree to things that work against their clients. I don't understand.
I don't think they do the research enough.
They
I
have to
found it
know these
rather
things. They're
I
lawyers.
I found it rather confusing after the fact and coming to the realization that I never understood about clemency and that each state could have their own laws and rules on what that even means. I had no idea.
Mm.
And then we know that Wisconsin has it's very particular in, unlike other states, maybe they have something in common. Wisconsin is kind of separate and they have all their weird or different, should I say, laws, rules, and regulations. Even this whole clemency, that does not exist in Wisconsin. Then the pardon,
That just doesn't seem right.
they were all like, oh, tweeting at Governor Evers or Evers. I know. They're all tweeting him and stuff. And then when I read about it, it says, yes, it's up to him, that's for sure. Who is he going to pick and choose to pardon? However, he also has a advisory board to hold hearings on the pardon, right? And the board consists of up to 9 individuals appointed by the governor, so himself, including the governor's chief legal counsel, and the individual nominated by the attorney general. And who do we know is the attorney general in Wisconsin right now?
Joshy
It's Josh
boy.
Cole. Would he
Yes.
ever suggest and approve
No. No,
Brendan
because
or Stephen?
that's damaging
Exactly.
to his
That's what I'm
mom's
saying.
legacy. And he
That
said after he got elected, he came out and made a big speech that he's her
he's
son
yes.
and
Yeah.
that he intends on carrying on her wonderful legacy.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, and
Yeah.
I
So the
knew
way
right
yes,
then we
of
were
course, it's
fucked.
only logical that nepotism and whatnot, or conflict of interest, depending how you look at it. So although we're like, okay, government Evers, you have the right, please do it, help and whatnot. He's innocent and whatnot. But to get to Governor Evers, it has to go through Cole. So that's like a major, major
Well,
obstacle, almost impossible
okay,
to cross.
so Knight Rider asked Evers for this clemency. Here's a real good one for you. On the news later, who answers the call about that? And it's on the news. Josh Cost says, "Oh no, we won't be doing clemency with them. We looked at it and it doesn't fit the criteria."
Good question. Can the governor reinstate clemency boards in Wisconsin?
I
I bet
see.
you
Here's
he
the bad
could.
part. I live in
Does he have
Wisconsin,
authority to
so
do that?
I didn't even know the word clemency. I had to look up clemency because for the 12 years or so that I've been paying attention, Walker was in office and there wasn't nothing. So I had to look up the word clemency.
I did not realize that it was more of an umbrella type thing that covered so many other aspects of, how a sentence can be changed, forgiven. I had no clue until I got all into it for this. Just how many different types of results you could get and the reasons why. And Pam Deer has been really, really awesome to help me understand it better because even what I was reading as it sunk in, I was in awe. And she was giving me a little more detail based on, the legalities of why that is for each thing. And I'm just going to tell you right now, I just feel like I'm a layman and even I am questioning why any of these lawyers would have approached this in this way. What was the point? Because they had to know this was not going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, explain to me how they wouldn't know that we don't have clemency in this state and that he's not eligible for pardon. I'm a housewife. I can read and deduce this from what it says. I mean,
And
They
his
should
his
have known.
conviction is
Google
based
clemency in Wisconsin. It
his conviction is based on
says
his
they don't have it.
confession. They should have been
You know,
focusing on he was coerced. That is clear as day.
Not so much coerced, but leaded to take a route they wanted to fit their narrative, I would say,
Uh-huh.
given the facts, and let him guess all the way. Yes, Brendan, that's good. Oh no, you have to tell the truth, you're lying.
I just thought
Hiding
it was really important. Linda
is
had
the
said
way
to me,
they
we
wanted to
need
go.
to understand clemency better. We need to have a discussion about this
Yeah.
and understand it better about what that even is so that people can get this in their mind about what that even meant when that all happened, when that went down and they were asking for that. And I thought, well, clearly they were asking for, for the governor to forgive him or to change the sentence or whatever.
Take away the sentence.
Yeah, and then you
can
go
go
back
home.
and look and find, whoa, yeah,
The nature of the word clemency is mercy.
yes,
And what that comes down to is that a governor or a head of state might consider that a sentence may have been overly harsh or just inappropriate. So they would apply clemency thinking the guy's been given a tough break. Let's kind of see if we could give him a little bit of relief. Now, mercy in Brendan's case, I think, can only be given if you sympathise with the fact that he has been treated very harshly. His confession was certainly not voluntary. You know, if I believe Brendan deserves clemency, just purely on the fact that his interrogation, his interviewing was utterly inappropriate, was, I think, pure malfeasance.
Can I say
Fassbender and Wigger?
what is there to be said about a jury that convicts him that has never seen all the interviews and only bits and pieces?
Well, I think you've got to give them the benefit of the doubt in as much as they weren't fully informed. So, you know, the picture that was being painted by the state is that they were absolutely guilty. Ken Kratz swung the scientific evidence in the case of Stephen Avery to convince the jury. In Brendan's case, they didn't need to go work as hard as that, in as much as Brendan provided a confession. Now, if the 12 people, good and true, on the jury couldn't work out for themselves the level of manipulation involved in that interview, I need to ask myself, did they have any real place on that jury? These are supposed to be a jury made up of Brendan's peers.
And let's not forget, if he took the plea deal, he would already be eligible to be let go now if he would have taken the plea deal. So in some kind of a twisted way, it's like saying, well, this amount of time is enough amount of time for the sentence, but because you didn't agree to it then, we're not going to let you out early. No way, no how, no matter if you go to the Supreme, if you go to en banc, if you go to pardon or whatever, it's not going to happen.
Right, but in the early days...
You didn't do what we asked you to do. So you can just
wanted you to do. Yeah. You did not completely jump through every hoop.
I find it...
So you're screwed.
I find it extremely egregious that both sides had all of those interviews. That jury never saw them
in their entirety.
Right.
No, they seen the little condensed one that he did as a summation.
That is wrong.
That they had him do
it should not have happened.
Ken Kratz creative editing started in the courtroom.
Why were they videotaping it? Because it was a law. It was a law then.
Yeah.
Yes,
that is considered evidence. Why weren't the juries shown each and every one in entirety? That is absolutely wrong. They withheld evidence.
It's misdirection of the jury.
Yeah, but if he goes the route now to take a post-conviction motion with all of this, couldn't there be
no, because he's got no options.
Really?
He's got no options now for appeal or post-conviction actions. His options have gone. Well, I mean, it's
Okay.
all right for us. We sit here on the sidelines and we see it from an outsider's point of view.
I think
As
we need
far
to
as
have
the
a
le-
discussion on that too.
Yeah, as
Yeah.
far as his counsel were concerned, I believe they were just trying to play the best hand they could with the cards that they were dealt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Let me say this too. I believe that if Brendan's case would have been heard first, I think that it would have been a
Yeah.
completely different outcome
Yeah.
for both Brendan and
Yeah.
Stephen.
I
Basically, they
disagree with that
convicted
delivery.
Brendan because Stephen got convicted because the state didn't want to pay the 36 million.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think if um I think that what was done with
Yes, of course it
whatever,
was. It was all planned.
because
It
if
was all planned that
yeah,
way.
and Brandon's case was so condensed and so little time. I mean, it only was a week or so in court, wasn't it? Litigations was only a week.
That
Probably. Steve's trial wasn't even that long, wasn't it?
Steve's trial was 6 weeks, I believe.
Yeah, 6 weeks. Brandon's
well,
was
when I think
shorter.
of a jury of my peers, okay, I make about $30,000 a year, give or take. Anybody that would be on a trial for me, on a jury for me, should be making about the same amount of money.
Yeah,
I never attended and completed college. So there should be no college graduates on my jury. That's not a
yeah,
jury of my peers.
That's correct. Yeah,
Yep.
I agree with
yeah.
that.
That's short.
Who's
Yeah,
on the jury for Brendan? I'm
Well,
sure
We. I'm not sure that we know.
until
We know some dirty shenanigans from Steve.
yeah.
yeah,
I don't think it would have made any difference.
Is not a peer of Steve's, so.
At the time of Brendan's trial, Steve was already convicted. The purpose of prosecuting Brendan at that time was to put an official stamp of guilt next to Stephen's name.
yeah.
Brendan was the only evidence
he's
they
just a
had
pawn.
against Stephen. They
He's
needed to
just a
convict him
pawn.
to provide a kind of semblance of legitimacy to
Yeah.
Steve's trial.
Just a pawn in a
Yeah.
shit game.
Yeah,
Really.
that's
That's
and the
it.
pawns go all the way to the bench. I mean, if you look at Ken Kratz's behaviour at the time Deborah Kakach was being refused the opportunity to give evidence, Ken Kratz is signalling Judge Willis to turn it off. Now, judges are supposed to begin the trial with an unbiased point of view.
Yeah.
If Ken Kratz is controlling the judge to switch stuff off before the defence have had an opportunity to object, then he's not unbiased. If he's working in hands with the prosecution, then the trials are fake.
Yep.
Well, didn't one
However
of them
you
go
look
so
at it.
far as to say that the coroner was a disgruntled ex-employee or something?
Yeah, that's what
I
they
do
said.
believe so. I believe so.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
Because that's the only way they could discredit her.
Yeah.
The
But
woman,
she had already
And-
quit by
yes.
the time
And
it got to trial.
And he
Well,
also
which
said that
was-
he did
which
not
was-
want to confuse the jury.
which was Fallon's
Yeah.
point, was that she was a former disgruntled employee.
Yeah, but
So
Ken Kratz's description of a coroner is like, oh, they come in,
kick her
the body
body.
instead,
Yeah.
and
Just kick the
that's
body.
so insane. Oh my god, that's so insane. You
They're a
cannot.
state employee
Oh my god.
that's employed to do a specific job.
Yeah.
And part of
That-
it is lay out the grid, take pictures, no shovels and backhoes.
And not to mention that she has a higher position and more authority. She could arrest the sheriff.
She is the highest
I know, right?
authority. she's the highest authority in the county when it comes to a death or an unexplained death.
Yeah. And
And
Yeah,
in-
that's what I couldn't understand. If she was able to do that and be able to arrest them, then why did she not do that? But then, if I remember right, she got threatened or something like that.
yeah,
She was
she did.
threatened.
she was
Yeah.
in fear.
She did.
She
Yeah.
was in fear.
Yeah,
And
She
I-
even
that
quit her job. That says a lot when you have been in the same occupation, in the same office, in the same state for so long as she had. And she just quit, she said. I'm afraid I
15
have
years.
to. Yeah.
15 years in her position, I'm sure she's seen a lot more than just Ricky Hochstetler and Teresa Holbach.
Oh, yeah.
So
And that's the very
I'm
reason
sure
why I
there's an
believe
awful
that
lot
they
more.
threatened
Yeah,
her. Yeah.
that's
Mhm.
absolutely. She
I
knew
also
too
think that because
much,
she was a
and they
girl,
do, that
common.
she was known to be a straight player.
yeah,
And the
that's what I
problems
was.
with straight players is that it doesn't matter how you try to threaten or control them, you can't.
Yeah, I
But
was
I
going to
don't.
say that they tried to get her to do something, or not to say something,
Okay, they tried to get
in
her
another
to
case.
sign. They tried to get her to sign a report saying that Ricky Hochstetler was dead before the police
Yeah,
car ran him over,
yeah,
and she
yeah. I knew
refused.
it was something like
She
that.
refused to do that, and from that point on, it marked her out. It
Aye,
marked her out as a kind of rogue
aye,
element.
definitely. That she couldn't be trusted. That she wasn't part of the club.
She was not a team player.
Yeah,
What
No.
Exactly.
What-
what about crime tech analyst Colhane, who's
Ah,
taking orders on what kind of test results he's going to get? That
yeah. Try
that
and put him
woman,
in.
that
Try.
she still works in Wisconsin, it boggles my mind. I cannot believe that's happening. I mean,
yeah. But every one of
someone
them
had
that
to kick her off.
nearly every one of them that worked on both Brendan's cases and Stephen's cases
Yes.
all got promotions, and God, bloody Mark Wiegert's fucking. Oh, excuse me, Mark Wieger's the
Yeah.
sheriff now.
Yeah.
And
Sorry,
still avoid.
sorry, I was the first one. I'm sorry.
It
And he
wasn't
is
me.
still
I
avoiding.
didn't do it.
He is still
Letting me
avoiding.
this time.
Mark Wieger is still avoiding answering any questions with regards to the 18-year-old who died in his jail recently.
That's also something I heard, and I was like, what? I have
All
heard that name
right, I've
before.
not heard
There,
anything about that.
there's been a complete news blackout on it. There's been nothing. All I
Have they?
heard months ago was that an 18-year-old had died unexplained in
Yeah, but have
Calumet
they
County
taken
Jail.
a death
He was found dead in his cell,
investigation?
apparently.
Yeah, but have they taken a death investigation in that case, though?
He's
Yeah,
a
they
sheriff.
did their
We
own
should find out.
You'd
investigation. I'm
think
pretty
so,
sure of that.
wouldn't you? You'd think so. You'd think he'd kind of asked a few questions. You know, how did that happen? Oh, I don't know, Governor.
Well,
Yeah.
was it a colored guy?
We don't know. He's just a
Yeah.
young
Don't know.
18-year-old guy.
Yeah.
Do you know, can we FOIA that stuff?
It's unlikely because it's probably under an internal review at the moment. So
Yeah.
they will not. They will
internal
not reveal any
review.
information
Yeah.
with regards to
Yes.
ongoing investigations.
Sure.
Yes, the police
Problem. They,
Very
police
much
themselves here.
investigate.
they will probably write the death certificate up as the person died from the COVID.
Probably because
Most
it
likely.
absolves them. It absolves them.
That's most likely. Well, our topic today was clemency, and it just leads into all of these other things. And
Yep.
I
Yeah,
promise you, people, this is not the end of it.
This is just a start, girl.
Yes, yes. And keep your eyes peeled and your ears peeled
Pardon me.
for Brendan's Brigade, because we are working on it, and it is coming. And wanted to tell everyone who is listening, thank you all for listening. You can join us on Discord. You can visit our website. It's free, foulplay.site. And I can't thank you all enough for joining us today and having this discussion. And look how deep it
Indeed.
goes.
And also, Linda K. listening, is going to have, she's let the cat out of the bag now. Or the
Oh
banana out of the bag.
no,
So
Eric, my man.
she's having an upcoming video interview with Eric the Banana Man.
All right.
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
wait.
Check
I've
on
been on
Linda
his
Kay
case.
listening.
I've been on his case for months.
Or
Not my verbiage.
Or
He's-
not my verbiage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's sick of me.
Never ever.
He's a lovely guy. I love Eric to bits, man. He's a good guy.
But keep joining in, and remember, if you want to join in on one of the podcasts for Brendan's Brigade or Powder Puff, all you got to do is go to Foul Play Discord, and
It's
if
up.
you'll go into Brendan's Brigade room and type in Brendan's Brigade, you'll get a personal invite, and you'll be able to come on over. Want to tell everybody, and this goes out especially to Stephen and Brendan, don't count the days, make the days count.